She thought she was untouchable. Officer Serena Hale saw a black man in a hoodie and assumed the worst. She didn't ask questions. She didn't check IDs. She just swung her baton, fueled by arrogance and a badge she didn't deserve. But as the man crumpled to the pavement, bleeding but silent, she had no idea she had just assaulted the one person in the city who could end her career with a single phone call. The man on the ground wasn't a suspect. He was the newly appointed police commissioner. And this was the biggest mistake of her life. The heat in Chicago that afternoon was oppressive, the kind that stuck your shirt to your back and made the air shimmer off the asphalt. Darius Voss adjusted the collar of his faded gray hoodie, wiping a bead of sweat from his forehead. He wasn't in his usual tailored suit today. It was his first day off in weeks, and he was savoring the anonymity. To the pedestrians on State Street, Darius was just another tall, broad-shouldered black man trying to get out of the sun. They didn't see the intelligence in his eyes, the tactical awareness in his gait, or the badge that usually rested against his chest, the gold shield of the police commissioner. He had been appointed only days ago, brought in from D.C. to clean up a department rife with corruption and excessive force complaints. He hadn't even done his first televised press conference yet. He wanted to see the city from the ground level first without the fanfare. He stepped into Miller's Market, a corner store near his sister's apartment in the South Loop. The bell chimed, and the cool air conditioning hit him like a blessing. He walked to the back, grabbing a carton of almond milk and a bag of diapers for his niece. That's when he heard the shouting. "I told you, empty your pockets now." Darius paused, his instincts flaring. He moved toward the front of the store. A terrified teenager, maybe years old, was pressed against the counter. He was skinny, wearing a backpack that looked too big for him. The store owner, a red-faced man named Miller, was leaning over the counter, pointing a finger in the kid's face. "I didn't take anything," the boy stammered, his voice cracking. "I just came in to buy a Gatorade." "Don't lie to me, boy. I saw you eyeing the candy aisle. Turn out your pockets or I'm calling the cops," Miller shouted. Darius stepped forward, his voice calm but projecting a natural command that silenced the room. "Is there a problem here?" Miller snapped his head around, eyeing Darius's hoodie and jeans with immediate disdain. "This doesn't concern you. This punk is stealing." "I'm not," the kid cried, tears welling up. He pulled his pockets inside out. They were empty save for a crumpled $5 bill. "See, I have money." Darius looked at the boy, then at Miller. He recognized the dynamic instantly. He'd seen it 1,000 times in his career, bias masquerading as vigilance. "He's empty, Miller," Darius said, reading the name tag on the owner's chest. "Let the kid buy his drink and leave." "You don't tell me what to do in my store." Miller spat, reaching for the phone behind the counter. "In fact, you two look like you know each other. Maybe you're the distraction while he swipes the register. I'm calling 911. Darius sighed. He reached into his back pocket, not for a weapon, but for his wallet. He was about to defuse this the easy way by flashing his ID and ending the nonsense. But before he could, sirens wailed outside. They were close. Too close. Miller must have hit a silent alarm or called before Darius even walked up. Blue and red lights flashed against the storefront window. A squad car screeched to a halt at the curb, tires biting the pavement. "Finally," Miller sneered, "now you're both going to learn." The door flew open. Officer Serena Hale stormed in. She was a veteran of the force, known in the precinct for two things: her high arrest numbers and her staggering amount of resisting arrest complaints. She was blonde, sharp-featured, and carried herself with a swagger that screamed insecurity masked as authority. Her partner, a rookie named Officer Declan Riley, trailed behind her, looking nervous. Hale didn't survey the scene. She didn't assess threats. She saw Miller pointing, and she saw two black males, one large, one small. That was all the investigation she needed. Back away from the counter. Hale barked, her hand already resting on her holstered taser. Hands where I can see them. The teenager froze, dropping his Gatorade. It burst on the floor, orange liquid splashing everywhere. I didn't do anything, he shrieked. Shut up, Hale yelled. She turned her gaze to Darius. You hands now. Darius didn't flinch. He kept his hands visible, palms open at chest level. The universal sign of non-aggression. Officer, he said, his voice steady, carrying the baritone weight of a man used to giving orders, not taking them. Relax. The store owner is mistaken. The boy has no stolen goods. I didn't ask for your life story. Hale cut him off, stepping into his personal space. She was aggressive, escalating a situation that was already at zero. I told you to get your hands up. Higher. My hands are visible, Darius said, his eyes locking onto hers. He was analyzing her. Poor stance, tunnel vision, agitated state, violation of Procedure 104. I am attempting to identify myself. If you'll let me reach for my back pocket. He's reaching, Miller yelled from behind the counter, adding fuel to the fire. He's got a gun. That was the trigger. Hale didn't wait. She didn't verify. Panic and prejudice mixed in her mind. She drew her baton, a heavy, collapsible steel rod instead of her taser. Get on the ground now, she screamed, swinging the baton to intimidate him. Officer, listen to me, Darius said, his voice hardening. You are making a mistake. I am crack. She didn't wait for him to finish. Hale lunged forward and swung the steel baton with full force. It connected sickeningly with Darius's forearm as he raised it to protect his head. Pain shot up his arm, white hot and blinding. Get down, she shrieked, fueled by the adrenaline of the assault. Darius grunted, stumbling back into a rack of chips. He was a trained combatant. He could have disarmed her in 2 seconds. He could have broken her wrist and slammed her face into the linoleum. But he knew better. If he fought back, even in self-defense, he would be just another violent suspect on the evening news. He had to take it. I'm complying, Darius shouted, dropping to one knee, clutching his arm. Check my ID. It's in my back pocket. I said face down. Hale roared. She kicked his legs out from under him. Darius hit the floor hard, his cheek pressed against the cold, sticky tiles. He felt the heavy weight of a knee driving into his spine. Hale was on top of him, pinning him down with excessive force. Cuff him, Riley, now, Hale yelled at her partner. The rookie Riley looked terrified. Serena, he said he has ID. Maybe we should check. Shut up and cuff him, she screamed, pressing her forearm against the back of Darius's neck, cutting off his airflow. He assaulted me. You saw it. Resisting arrest and assaulting an officer. Darius gasped for air, the pressure on his neck increasing. He could feel the cold steel of the handcuffs biting into his wrists as Riley reluctantly snapped them on. You have no idea, Darius wheezed, his face pressed into the floor. What you've just done? Hale leaned down, her lips close to his ear, her voice dripping with venom. I just took trash off the street. That's what I did. Now shut your mouth before I add a charge for threatening a police officer. She yanked him up by the handcuffs, sending a fresh wave of agony through his shoulders. Darius stumbled to his feet, disoriented. His arm was throbbing, likely fractured. Blood trickled from a cut above his eye, where he'd hit the floor. As she shoved him toward the door, past the smug face of Miller, the store owner, Darius looked directly at the security camera mounted in the corner. He memorized the time. Good, he thought, a cold fury settling in his gut. It's all on tape. She shoved him out onto the sidewalk into the blinding Chicago sun and the gathering crowd. People were filming with their phones. Officer Hale, Darius said quietly as she slammed his head against the hood of the squad car to search him. My wallet. Left back pocket. Open it. I'll open it when we get to booking, scumbag, she spat. Open it now, Darius commanded. The tone was so authoritative, so utterly unlike a suspect that even Hale paused. She ripped the wallet out of his pocket. Let's see who you are. Probably got a warrant a mile long. She flipped it open. There was no driver's license in the window, just a heavy gold shield pinned to the leather. Below it, a laminated ID card with the City of Chicago seal. The color drained from Serena Hale's face so fast it looked like she had seen a ghost. Her hands started to tremble. The wallet slipped from her numb fingers and hit the pavement with a dull thud. The crowd went silent. Darius turned his head despite the pain in his neck and locked eyes with her. His expression wasn't angry anymore. It was something far worse. It was disappointed, and it was final. Officer Hale, Darius said, his voice cutting through the humid air like a razor. I believe you have something of mine. The silence that had fallen over the sidewalk outside Miller's Market was heavier than the humid Chicago air. It was a vacuum, sucking the oxygen out of Officer Serena Hale's lungs. Her eyes were glued to the gold shield lying on the dirty concrete. The sun glinted off the polished metal, mocking her. Police commissioner. The words didn't make sense. They couldn't make sense. The man she had just beaten, the man currently bleeding from a head wound and handcuffed against her hood, was supposed to be a nobody. A stat. A stepping stone to her next promotion. Pick it up, Darius said. His voice wasn't loud, but it resonated with a terrifying authority that cut through the haze of her panic. Hale blinked, her heart hammering against her ribs like a trapped bird. Her survival instinct twisted and desperate kicked in. She snatched the wallet from the ground, snapping it shut before her partner, Riley, could get a good look at the ID card. Nice try, she scoffed, though her voice trembled. She turned to Riley, forcing a laugh that sounded manic. Can you believe this guy? Carrying a fake badge, impersonating a high-ranking officer, added to the charges. Darius's eyes narrowed. He hadn't expected her to double down. Most cops would have folded immediately, apologized, begged for mercy. But Hale was different. She was a cornered animal, and she was deciding to bite. It's not a fake, Serena, Riley said, his voice unsure. He stepped closer. I saw the gold. It looked real. Maybe we should call it in. I said it's a fake. Hale snapped, whirling on the rookie. Her eyes were wide, frantic. You think the police commissioner is walking around the South Loop in a hoodie buying diapers? Use your head, Riley. He's a con artist. Probably stole the badge or bought it online. She grabbed Darius's arm again, her grip digging into his injured bicep. Get in the car now, Officer Riley, Darius said, ignoring Hale and locking eyes with the rookie. My name is Darius Voss. I was sworn in last Tuesday by Mayor Lightfoot. Badge number 001. Check the radio. Ask dispatch to verify the location of Commissioner Voss. Riley hesitated, his hand hovering over his radio. He looked at Darius, then at Hale. The doubt was written all over his face. Don't you dare. Hale hissed at her partner. He's trying to confuse you. We book him. We process him. And we let the detective sort out the fake ID. Get in the driver's seat. I'll ride in back with the suspect. She shoved Darius's head down roughly, forcing him into the cramped back seat of the cruiser. As the door slammed shut, separating him from the crowd, Darius saw the store owner, Miller, standing in the doorway, looking confused. The narrative was already spinning out of control. Inside the car, the air conditioner was blasting, but Hale was sweating profusely. She slid into the seat next to Darius, while Riley got behind the wheel. "Drive," she ordered. "Straight to the 21st and take the long way. Avoid the heavy traffic." Riley pulled the car away from the curb. As the sirens wailed, cutting through the city noise, Hale made her move. She reached up to her chest and tapped her body camera. The little red recording light blinked off. Then she reached across the partition and slapped Riley's shoulder. "Kill the internal mic," she whispered harshly. "Serena, we can't do it, Declan. Unless you want to be writing reports for months about why we let a suspect manipulate us." Riley, weak-willed and terrified of his senior officer, flipped the switch. The cabin went logically dark to the recording systems. Hale turned to Darius. The arrogance was gone, replaced by a slithering, predatory negotiation tactic. "Look," she said, her voice dropping to a hush. "I know who you are." Darius leaned his head back against the seat, closing his eyes for a second to manage the pain in his arm. "Oh, I thought I was a con artist with a fake badge." "Cut the crap," she hissed. "I know you're Voss. I saw the news, but here's the reality, Commissioner. You're in my car. You're in cuffs. And right now, it's my word against yours." Darius opened his eyes. The look he gave her was one of pure, unadulterated pity. "You think you can negotiate your way out of assault?" "It wasn't assault," she said quickly, her mind racing. "It was a chaotic scene, a shoplifting call. You fit the description. You resisted. I used necessary force. That's the report I'm writing, and that's the report Riley's going to sign." She glared at the back of the rookie's head. "Right, Riley?" I don't know, Serena. If he is the commissioner," Hale interrupted, turning back to Darius. "Then he understands how the streets work. Sometimes things get messy. Look, we can make this go away. I can unarrest you right now. We pull over. I take the cuffs off. You walk away. No charges for the shoplifting or the resisting. We forget this ever happened. You go back to your office, and I go back to my beat. No harm, no foul." Darius let out a dry, humorless chuckle. "No harm. I have a hairline fracture in my ulna. The boy in that store is traumatized, and you just attempted to solicit a cover-up from the head of the entire police force." He turned to the mayor. "Mr. Mayor, you're about to go out there and speak to the people of Chicago. You have a choice. You can read Frank's speech and become an accomplice to a felony, or you can let me speak." "He's not speaking," O'Connell shouted. "Mayor, if he goes on that stage, the union walks. No police protection for the city. We strike." The mayor looked between the two men, the bully and the battered leader. "It's okay," Darius said softly. "You don't have to choose yet. Just watch." Darius turned and walked toward the curtain that led to the stage. "Stop him," O'Connell yelled to his personal security detail. Two burly men in suits stepped in Darius's way. Darius didn't stop. He didn't even slow down. He locked eyes with the first guard. "Touch me," Darius whispered, "and you'll be serving years for assaulting a federal official." The guard hesitated. In that split second of doubt, Darius swept past them and through the curtain. The blinding lights of the cameras hit Darius as he stepped onto the podium. The noise in the room, the chatter of reporters instantly died down. A hush fell over the crowd. They saw the sling. They saw the bruised forehead. Darius didn't stand at the side. He walked directly to the microphone, bypassing the podium meant for the mayor. Backstage, O'Connell was frantically texting his people in the AV booth, but it was too late. Darius was already speaking. "Good morning, Chicago," Darius said. His voice was steady, magnified by the speakers, echoing through the hall and into the living rooms of thousands of viewers watching live. "Yesterday," Darius began, "there was an incident in the South Loop. You've heard rumors, you've heard spin. You've been told that a belligerent suspect attacked a police officer." He paused, scanning the room. He saw the red lights of the cameras. "I am that suspect." Gas rippled through the room. Flashbulbs erupted like a thunderstorm. "I was buying diapers for my niece," Darius continued. "I was unarmed, I was compliant, and I was profiled." "Lies!" O'Connell screamed from the side of the stage, storming out from the curtain. "He's lying! Cut the feed!" The cameras swiveled to capture the union boss losing his composure. The drama was live, unedited, and raw. "Mr. O'Connell says I'm lying," Darius said, not moving from the mic. "He says there is no evidence. He says the cameras malfunctioned. He says the tapes were lost." Darius reached into his pocket and pulled out the small black USB drive. He held it up. It looked tiny in his hand, but it carried the weight of a nuclear bomb. "But the truth," Darius said, pointing to the screen, "has a way of surviving." He plugged the USB drive into the laptop sitting on the podium, the one meant for the mayor's budget presentation. He hit the space bar. The massive projection screen behind him, which had been displaying the city seal, flickered. Then the video appeared. A collective gasp sucked the air out of the room. On the giant screen, clear as day, was Officer Serena Hale. The audience saw Darius's hands up. They saw the fear on the teenager's face. And then they saw the brutality. The visual of the baton striking Darius's arm was visceral. The crowd flinched. They watched Hale kick him while he was down. They watched her scream at a man who was surrendering. Darius let it play. He let them see the hero officer for what she was. Then the video cut to the interior of the squad car. This was the part Riley had captured before the camera was fully dead. The audio was gone, but the image was enough. Hale was seen laughing. She was seen miming the baton strike to her partner, reenacting the violence with a smile. She looked proud. Darius stopped the video on a freeze frame of Hale's smiling face. He turned back to the microphone. The room was dead silent. Even the reporters had stopped typing. O'Connell was frozen stage left, his face the color of ash. "This," Darius said, pointing to the screen, "is what Frank O'Connell calls heroism. This is what he tried to hide from you. He deleted the store footage. He wiped the precinct servers. He threatened a rookie officer to stay silent." Darius turned his head slowly to look at O'Connell. "But you can't delete the truth, Frank." Darius looked toward the back of the room where Captain Harris and a team of internal affairs officers were waiting. He gave a nod. "Captain Harris," Darius commanded into the mic, "please execute the warrants." The doors burst open. Captain Harris marched down the center aisle, flanked by 4 officers, but they weren't heading for Darius. They headed straight for the side of the stage. "Frank O'Connell," Harris shouted, his voice booming over the commotion. "You are under arrest for conspiracy, obstruction of justice, and tampering with evidence." "You can't do this," O'Connell shrieked as the officers grabbed him. He struggled, his expensive suit bunching up. "I run this city. I'll have your badges." The cameras captured every second of it. The untouchable union boss, the man who had terrified mayors for decades, was being handcuffed on live television. And Claudette added, his voice cutting through O'Connell's screams, "Officers, please pick up Serena Hale. She is currently at the 21st District, awaiting her commendation. Bring her in." As O'Connell was dragged away, still shouting threats, Darius looked back at the camera. He looked tired. He looked pain-stricken. But mostly he looked resolved. "To the citizens of Chicago," Darius said, "the badge is a symbol of trust. When we use it to oppress, we become criminals. Today we start cleaning house. If you are a good officer, you have nothing to fear. But if you are like Serena Hale, if you think the badge shields you from the law..." He leaned into the mic for one final devastating line. "Check your body cam, because I'll be watching." Darius stepped back from the podium. For a second there was silence. Then one reporter started clapping. Then another. Then the whole room erupted. It wasn't polite applause. It was a roar of shock and vindication. Darius didn't smile. He walked off the stage past the stunned Mayor Reynolds. You destroyed the Union," Reynolds whispered, looking at Darius with a mix of fear and awe. "No, Mr. Mayor," Darius said, adjusting his sling. "I just reminded them who they work for." The Cook County Courthouse was packed. The air inside was stifling, smelling of cheap cologne and nervous sweat. But this time, Officer Serena Hale wasn't the one barking orders. She wasn't the one holding the baton. She was the one in chains. Serena sat at the defendant's table wearing a bright orange jumpsuit that washed out her pale, gaunt complexion. The arrogance that had defined her career was gone, replaced by a hollow, trembling fear. She looked over her shoulder at the gallery, hoping to see a friendly face, a fellow officer, a union rep, anyone. But the benches were filled with strangers. The blue wall of silence had not just cracked, it had shattered. After the press conference, no one wanted to be associated with her. She was radioactive. In the row behind her sat Frank O'Connell. The former union boss looked like he had aged years. His silver hair was thin and unkempt, his tailored suits replaced by prison grays. The conspiracy charges had stuck. The feds had found the deleted servers, the bribes, the buried complaints. His empire was dust. Darius Voss sat in the front row of the gallery. His arm was fully healed, though a faint scar remained on his forearm, a permanent reminder. He wore a charcoal suit, his presence commanding and silent. Next to him sat Declan Riley. The former rookie didn't look terrified anymore. He looked like a detective, which he now was, having been promoted after his testimony exposed the precinct's corruption. "All rise," the bailiff announced. Judge Harrison, a stern woman known for her dislike of police misconduct, swept into the room. She took her seat and adjusted her glasses, looking down at Serena Hale with a gaze that could strip paint. "Serena Hale," the judge began, her voice echoing in the silent room. "You were entrusted with the power to protect. Instead, you used it to prey on the weak. You assaulted an innocent man based on his appearance. You lied. You conspired. You disgraced the uniform." Serena sobbed quietly, her shoulders shaking. "I'm sorry," she whispered. "I just want to go home." "The man you assaulted just wanted to buy diapers," Judge Harrison retorted sharply. "He wanted to go home too, but you denied him that right." The judge opened the file in front of her. "Because of the severity of the assault, the abuse of power, and the attempt to frame the police commissioner, I am sentencing you to years in the Illinois Department of Corrections." Serena let out a wail, her knees buckling. Her lawyer had to hold her up. Years. Her life as she knew it was over. "Furthermore," the judge continued, turning her gaze to Frank O'Connell. "Frank O'Connell, for leading a criminal conspiracy from within the police union, you are sentenced to years in federal prison." O'Connell didn't scream. He just stared blankly at the wall, realizing he would likely die behind bars. As the bailiffs moved in to take them away, Serena looked up, her tear-filled eyes locked with Darius's. "Please," she mouthed. "Help me." Darius didn't look away. He didn't smile. He simply stood up, buttoned his jacket, and turned his back on her. He walked out of the courtroom, leaving her to the cold reality she had created. Outside on the courthouse steps, the autumn wind was crisp. Reporters were waiting, but Darius waved them off. He turned to Detective Riley. "You good, Declan?" Darius asked. Riley nodded, taking a deep breath of fresh air. "Yeah, I'm good. It feels clean for the first time." "Keep it that way," Darius said, clapping him on the shoulder. "The city needs good cops. Don't let them down." Darius walked toward his waiting car. He had a meeting with the mayor about the new community outreach program. He had a department to run. As he got into the car, he checked his phone. A text from his sister. "Niece is asking for you. Can you pick up some almond milk on the way over?" Darius smiled, a genuine, warm smile. "Driver," Darius said, "stop at Miller's Market on the way. I need to buy some milk." "Yes, sir." Darius leaned back as the car merged into Chicago traffic. The system was still flawed. The work was far from done. But for today, justice had been served cold, hard, and undeniably. The badge meant something again. Wow. Talk about karma hitting back instantly. Serena Hale thought her badge made her a god, but she learned the hard way that nobody is above the law, especially when you pick a fight with your own boss. It's satisfying to see justice served, but it's also a scary reminder of how easily power can be abused if good people don't speak up. If you enjoyed this story and want more heavy-hitting dramas about justice and revenge, make sure to smash that like button, share this video, and subscribe to the channel with notifications on.